Welcome everybody, and thank you so much for starting your day with me. I hope you have everything you need for this talk just to feel comfortable, whatever your mind needs, maybe any fidgety toys or whatever your body needs, like a warm drink, an extra cup of coffee. So just feel free and please relax into the space. My intention and desire for today is that it's not some sort of conversation that I'm just talking at you. There will be some prompts and invitation to do some of reflective practice and thinking on your own, and you're more than welcome to share some of your thoughts in the chat box as we go through the talk today. You're more than welcome to drop any questions as they appear. I might have to park them if I notice that they might take a little bit more time for me to unpack. I'll park them for the Q&A at the end. But if there are quick questions that I might clarify on the spot, I will do that. And I want to start this conversation by saying that this talk is for everybody. Whatever you are in your coaching journey, everybody's welcome. Whether you are an aspiring coach, just having this dream of transitioning into becoming a coach and pursue that as a career, or you are a seasoned coach, someone who's been in the industry for a number of years and been coaching for a while, all of you will find something useful during this talk. I can pretty much guarantee that. My experience, and I've been talking about this topic for quite a few times actually, and my experience is that aspiring and beginner coaches very often discover some of the aha moments and realizations, but most importantly, they find validation, something that brings the relief and comfort to them. And for these seasoned coaches, I find that this talk shares powerful reminders with them, because the beauty of the experience and the danger of the experience is that along the way, as we practice the craft of coaching with our clients and various different clients, we can sometimes pick up along the way some of the mindless habits and just habitual ways of being if we don't take time to reflect on our practices. So hopefully all of you will gain something insightful from this, whether it's something validating or a powerful reminder that you needed to hear today. And I also want to say that all parts of you are welcome. So the confident and excited parts of you, but also the parts of you that experience self-doubt, and perhaps the cynical parts of you that want to kind of ask thought-provoking questions. All of that is also welcome. And I think the most important thing for me to mention, and what I think you need to know about me at this stage, and I'll introduce myself properly in a moment, is that I've always been fascinated by mastery. This is the topic that I've been devoting my studies to, and I've been exploring for years now. I've been fascinated by the idea of what makes a coach not just good, but great. What allows us to bridge that gap? Because part of my story, and that's why I'm motivated to explore the topic of mastery, is because I transitioned from being a banker to becoming a coach, and I didn't just want to be an okay average coach. I wanted to be really good at what I do. And part of this desire came from a fear to potentially harm some of my clients unintentionally. And part of it came from a desire to be actually really amazing at something, just because I never quite felt successful and adequate in my banking role. That point might resonate with some of them. So that's why I'm sharing this, just to create some additional connection points if we have any. So, I also want to mention that the mastery, in my view, is not just being masterful at your craft as a coach, but also create a thriving coach in practice, a thriving business. Because great coaches deserve to have a great coach in businesses. And that's something that I truly believe in. And that is the kind of belief that I'm bringing into the room today. Okay. Last but not least, before I start sharing my slides, I want to quickly contract with you around the way I feel today. Just a quick personal update. I've just gotten over a really nasty chest infection. Wouldn't wish it upon anyone. I am in good shape for today's talk, but there might be moments where I have to mute myself quickly, do the coughing, then come back in the room. I'm really hoping it won't disrupt our conversation too much, or probably give you a moment just to integrate some of the things that I'm sharing today. Okay, let me start sharing my slides because now it's the time to bring the visual into the room. And here we go. Today we're going to be exploring how you can unlock your coaching magic, and this is the path to mastery for coaches. It is still the concept of 3 elements of coaching mastery, but my VA just insisted yesterday on creating this name as a concept. So I would like to invite you to think about and share with me in a chat box, where are you in your coaching journey right now? Are you an aspiring coach? Or are you someone who's been coaching for a year or 2? You've been trained? Are you a seasoned coach? Have you been coaching for over 5 years, perhaps? Where are you in your coaching journey? And what might be stopping you from taking your practice to the next level? What is it that you feel like you can perhaps achieve and take things to the next level in a way that, whatever it means to you, but what might be in the way? Could it be lack of business skills, self-doubt, confidence wobbles? What might be going on for you?
Yeah.
I'm just going to have a quick look at the chat box. Okay, 8 years, 6 years, beautiful, qualified, but now started any business. Okay, welcome. At the start, wanting training, but not sure what would be the best fit funding. Okay, aspiring, about to start training in a couple months. Excited for you, Margot. Beautiful, you will enjoy this journey. I'm looking to start my coaching journey currently. I'm looking at the right coaching course that resonates with me. Sandra, welcome. I will be talking about this. Qualified at the start of my journey, scared to take a leap from permanent job to independent coach. My bread and butter. Welcome. Okay, just starting out close to qualification. Excellent. Finish line. Good luck with finishing qualification. Alex is qualified, coaching for 18 months and about to launch my independent coaching business. Fingers crossed, everything crossed. It will be great. Next week, starting Animus. Robin, congrats. But being NLP and coach mentor for a number of years. This will be useful. I'll be talking about the professional toolkit to you. Aspiring, Rebecca, beautiful. I'm a trained coach at the start of building her business. Excellent. Been coaching in the company I work for. Lovely.
Right.
Okay, studying level 5 coaching.
Yeah.
Excellent. EMCC, senior practitioner, coaching for 15 months. Fantastic, Stefania. Okay, I'm actually looking into EMCC as well. I'm in the process of getting accredited with them now. Also senior practitioner. Qualified, but at the start of journey, just starting out. Good. Just about to complete my Animus qualification and start coaching business. Lovely. Okay, I'm training. Beautiful. Excellent. Let's see. I'm just going to have a look at others and we'll carry on. Lovely. It's wonderful to see what's present in the room. Lots of aspiring coaches, lots of coaches who are about to finish the training, who have trained, about to launch their coaching business, and lots of seasoned and credentialed coaches. Let's move on. So this is a very quick introductory bit that's all you need to know about me. I've been coaching since 2018 and I graduated with Animus in 2019. And I studied during my first maternity leave. That was an interesting time, and a lot of people are telling me that this is a crazy time to start anything new, like requalifying to become a coach. But I was very lucky. I didn't believe the people who told me that it will be difficult. I believe that I can create calm home and routine for my baby that will allow me time for studying and client sessions, and that's exactly what happened. Interesting fact about me is that I coached for free my first 50 sessions. And then after that, I made a decision to charge quite a humble rate at the time of £50 per session. But that decision was such a stretchy thing for me. And it allowed me to make a decision not to go back to my banking career where I'd spent 10 years of my life. And I met good people during that time and I did a good job. But ultimately, this just didn't feel like my path anymore. And I felt like a part of me was just dying a little bit every time I was going to the office. I've been supervising since 2020, another great time into started a training course. And it was around 2019 when I noticed my fascination around the topic of mastery and how to become a really great coach. And the opportunity came along for me to become a coach and supervisor. And I grabbed it with my both hands because it just spoke to me because supervision suits my personality so much. During all this time, I've been on 2 maternity leaves, so I've taken some time off my coaching practice. And I managed to, I'm particularly proud of like the second maternity leave because I managed to structure my business in a way that I created my own, what do you call it, like maternity pay during those months. So I was at the point where I was supporting my business during the first few years. And then when I needed to take time off, my business was supporting me back. And that was a really pivotal moment when I realized that this is working. Also moved house. I had really good lavish sales months and I had zero cash months, just to be really real with you. And I learned from both. And I'm gonna tell you, I learned more from zero cash months than from a really good sales months. It's just because during those times, your faith is really tested, whether you can make it happen. And those are the moments that build your resilience. Zero cash months are great. Every time coaches come into supervision and they say they had a bad sales month, we unpack it. And I always celebrate and say, this is a great experience. It will enrich you. And during that time, I've also supported over 100 coaches. And I'm very lucky with my re-sign rate. I don't even have to market myself that heavily anymore. The fun bit is that I still don't have a website, even though I'm 6 years into this coaching industry. And at first, it was more like making the point that you don't need to busy yourself or distract yourself with website building in order to start your coaching business. But at this point, I need to sort it out now. So sometime next year, I will have the website. And I'm very lucky with the fact that I have a really good referral and recommendation rate as well. That's why the website so far is just not a necessity. Another thing that I would like you to think about right now and share with me is, what does mastery mean to you? There's no right or wrong answer. I just want to kind of keep those thinking, creative juices flowing. What does mastery mean to you? Because there was a reason why you signed up for this talk. There is something about this concept that speaks to you and resonates with you deeply. And I want to know what it is so that I can structure my talk in a way that will be most helpful. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just quickly cover, Jerry, like why still no website. At first, just decided not to distract myself with it. And now it just became a non-priority, but I'm realizing that I need to fix it now. Thank you so much, Alex. Elite level excellence. That is, this response comes up very often. That was my kind of first idea, first line of thinking as well. Best version of self. Yeah, high performance, becoming an expert. There's one thing that it reminds me of is that it is very empowering to remember as coaches that there are always two experts in the room. You're not the expert of your client's life, but you are the expert of the coaching process. You are the one who knows how to contract with your clients correctly, what questions to ask, what models to use that serve the client and the conversation. So always remember that. Being energized in the process of becoming great at something. Excellent. I love the intrinsic nature of this, Jennifer. Commitment, beautiful, and growth for myself and my clients. The first word that comes to mind is confidence. Absolutely. Absolutely. And for for thoughtful and ethical coaches, I must say, confidence often stems from competence. This is why the very first element of coaching mastery is professional mastery. You gotta know your stuff. You gotta know what you do. And it might sound very obvious to most of you, but I will be acknowledging some of the reality of the industry in a bit. Being the best that you can be, feeling confident. I believe that we're always learning. So I'm unsure if we ever can reach mastery. That is a very important point. Mastery is the journey. Mastery is not a destination. It is a journey. And then this is one thing that I want you to relax into so that you don't rush that journey. You don't run towards this mastery and some sort of level of I'm complete, I'm done, because this is the opposite of mastery. Mastery is openness to learning and the continual refinement of your skills. Great point, Andrew. Being the best you can be. Yeah, and being the best you can be at this moment of time with the level of knowledge and experience that you have. And it will be different the following day, the following week, the following year. It means coaching properly so that I can be the best coach for my clients and be happy with my purpose. Yes, you gotta be happy with the work that you do. People who feel good about themselves deliver great results. This is the quote that I'm butchering from 1 Minute Manager. It's an old book that was written in the 80s. Continuous learning and growth. Bingo. Doing a great job for self and clients. Absolutely. Mastery means being excellent without stopping and no finish line for you. Yes, definitely. Doing something that serves purpose and makes impact, but equally is utterly aligned with me in my heart. Yes, we will be talking about bringing forth what's within you and creating your unique coaching style, because the purpose of the training is to cleanse your palate in some way, to know how to ask open-ended questions, be mindful of the kind of questioning that you're doing, be mindful of how you show up in the space with your clients. And then as you leave the comfortable environment of the training and you begin to coach clients out there versus peers and fellow coaches, so you begin to coach clients who don't know how to play the game. They don't know how coaching works. And that is a stretchy thing, and that is the thing that you learn from the most. What was I going to say there? Yeah, there will be a point where you will begin to go beyond the rules. You will begin to recognize what is your unique coaching style. We'll mention something about this in the professional toolkit. Continue learning, being in flow, cultivating talents into strengths. Yes, beautiful. So many amazing answers. Thank you so much. I'm just going to carry on with the slides for the sake of the time, but thank you for sharing. They're all on point. Mastery is a journey of continuous refinement of your skills and being attuned to what's true to you so that coaching flows through you. And it's not something you do to the client. It's something that you do with the client. When I think of mastery as well, the kind of metaphor that comes to mind is the carver, the master of carving, who's carving something from wood every day or like on a regular basis and refines their craft, exploring their own style of carving and making sure that they keep their tools sharp. So we'll talk about that. Thank you everyone so much for sharing this. All right, let's dive in. So even though the 3 elements of coaching mastery, they're not like a linear path that you have to follow, but I believe the professional mastery is the first step. You gotta know your stuff. You gotta learn the craft of coaching, and you gotta ideally learn it in a very robust, ideally accredited training where you have that solid foundation that you can build your coaching practice on top of. Because if the foundation is weak, everything you build on top will not last in the long run. And a lot of you, I bet, are thinking, That's kind of obvious, Chris. Like, duh. And absolutely. But here's the thing. When I when I made a decision to become a coach, it felt like something so precious to me. And I was thinking, how can you coach without knowing how to hold a coaching conversation, how to facilitate a coaching conversation, and what it involves, and what coaching is and isn't? And that was exactly my line of thinking. I was also afraid to harm my clients. So that was that fear that was very present. And so I finished my training like a good girl and, started hard. And I absolutely loved the process of training. So I'm kind of even envious of some of you who said that you're starting your training in a week or two, because you're just going to have a blast. You're going to have such a great experience. And I'm so excited for you. Well, here's my coffee moment. Promised you there will be one. The reality is when I finished my training and then I entered the stage of social media where I would market and promote my coaching services, I had realized and I had faced the interesting reality that there had been like many coaches out there in different parts of the world who owned profitable coaching businesses, but they were not coaching. They were knowledge holders. They mastered a process, a goal. They mastered one thing in their own life. They created a framework, a process, a blueprint that they were then imparting their knowledge onto others. And that created such a massive confusion within me. And they were absolutely smashing it business-wise. And that created even more confusion. And I was wondering, well, that's not coaching. What did I learn? Like, did I learn? Was that coaching? Like, what's right, what's wrong? But the reality is that the industry is self-regulated, and it's up to us to take, it's our responsibility to make sure that we educate ourselves properly in terms of what coaching is and isn't. I think what's important to acknowledge here is that there's still this reality that coaching comes from sports. So there's this connotation of cheerleading, guiding, training, being very involved, giving instructions. And there's also reality that some people, slap like I'm a certified life coach, but what they did wasn't to invest in a questionable $7 coaching certification. That is also the reality. The reason why I think it's important to acknowledge is that one thing I want you to take from this part of the conversation is that if you notice any feelings of bitterness or confusion within you, please take that to the safe space. First of all, you're allowed to have those feelings, confusion and bitterness in terms of like, how come they are untrained coaches and they're completely smashing it out there? And I'm sitting here, I'm so trained, I worked so hard on being a good coach, and I don't really have clients. And that can make us feel like that can feel unfair. You're allowed to have those feelings and they're absolutely valid. Please take them to the safe space to unpack whether it's therapy, coaching, or supervision. Because if there's only one thing you learn from this part of the conversation is that it's not useful to act from those feelings and reactions. Because sometimes what coaches can do, they can start creating a messaging for those coaches, for their peers, and saying like, this is not coaching. Here's what coaching is. And they invest so much energy into this that not enough energy is left for them to create messaging and content for their actual potential clients. And talking about the beauty of coaching. So please remember that and take that on board. And I think it's important just to acknowledge that reality. What else did I want to say here? There's something about the conviction that coaching is powerful and needed. And this is very difficult to achieve when you don't have a proper training. And I mean, by proper training, I mean when you learn live, when you actually have a trainer in front of you that you can ask questions. So it's not just pre-recorded stuff. You have practice pods where you can experienced coaching someone or being on the receiving end of coaching, where you can hear the feedback, constructive, meaningful feedback that improves how you show up as a coach, where you can access supervision as well and mentoring. And when we have that proper training and that process, we emerge as a result of it, having that conviction how bloody powerful coaching is and how it is needed in this world, because the quality of the conversation that coaching provides is not the quality of conversations that people have access to on a daily basis. People tend to dish out advice, saying, here's what's going on for me, and they often feel unseen and unheard. Coaching is completely different type of conversation. And I don't need to tell the trained coaches here, but for the aspiring ones, I want you to enter your training journey and fully embracing and finding the evidence for yourself how bloody brilliant coaching is. All right. So what is the Oh, no, actually, let me just share this one thing. Professional mastery is not just coaching, by the way, because some of you will enter this industry with some previous talents, gifts, and knowledge already. Some of you have expertise in a certain industry. Some of you have expertise in other alternative modalities like EFT, astrology, yoga therapy, human design. It might be as spiritual or as pragmatic as it can be. This is also going to be part of your professional toolkit. But here's why coaching is important. Without coaching skill of active listening and to the client, and without knowing how to contract with the client in terms of what's needed from the space today, you won't know what the client needs from you. So the beauty of professional toolkit is that refine your coaching skills, add other modalities or experiences that you have that might serve some of your clients, and then use coaching to contract and actively listen in what needs to be in the space. Listen to the words, listen beyond the words, and to what is unspoken. And use your intuition. And this is something we'll be talking in the third element of the coaching mastery, is using your intuition, because you are not just a bag of tools and clever, thought-provoking questions. You are not just someone who technically knows how to coach someone. You're a human being. You're not a moist robot. And there will be moments of intuitive hits and nudges in the conversations. And it's important to explore those and know how to use them. So just a little bit of a little note on that. The danger of not doing this as a first step is that I had an experience of supervising a couple of coaches who had either very short leadership coaching training through their corporate role, or had a 2-day introductory course into coaching, and that was their starting point, and is better than nothing, absolutely. But they're more likely than other coaches. Most of the sessions that such coaches had, they kind of felt off. Something was missing. They felt a little bit of a loss during coaching conversations. And they lacked that conviction that coaching is extremely powerful. And that showed up in their messaging, and that showed up in their presence as coaches during the conversations. So here we had a competence issue. So with a professional mastery, you solve that competence issue. And despite the fact that out there are still untrained or unconventionally trained coaches, or coaches who are more mentors, the industry is developing and maturing, and there is, I'm noticing, ever-growing appetite for trained, ethical, thoughtful coaches who have invested in the proper training, who are regularly reflecting on the practice and investing into their supervision. So If this is something that you do invest into the training and you are a trained coach, you are already ahead of the game and you're doing the right thing. So 3 key elements of professional mastery that we need to be mindful of is the skill development and the importance of grounding yourself in foundational coaching skills. On the days when I feel a little bit off and a little bit iffy, like my energy is meh, I know I have that confidence that I can lean into my professional toolkit. I can lean into my techniques, like my contracting questions, solution-focused, my go-to models, and I will still facilitate a really good coaching conversation. The apprentice mindset, I can't stress that enough. This is a lifelong learning journey, and it does require this humility and openness to feedback that improves your coaching. We often work with fellow coaches on how to prepare yourself and be ready for receiving a potentially tough feedback and invite it willingly and encourage it. And we even create like a specific feedback question in the feedback form that relaxes clients into sharing some of the, more of a sticky kind of feedback. Do not seek praise, seek criticism. And the number one thing that you can do for yourself in order to, if you have a question, well, how do I prepare myself? How do I make sure that I'm ready for creating, for inviting some of more potentially tough feedback? It's creating supportive systems in place. It's creating the safe spaces where you can then take that feedback and you won't be judged for it. You'll be able to unpack it. You'll be able to extract the valuable lesson from it that will ultimately improve your services. And that space can be supervision, coach mentoring, or peer supervision. If you have a group of other fellow coaches that you get together or engage in professional dialogue on a regular basis, that can be really helpful. And last but not least, obviously, CPD and supervision. This is something I absolutely love. I'm a lifelong learner. So consistent professional development and supervision are critical pillars. And I love this analogy that like a musician needing to tune their instrument, coaches need regular supervision to tune their practice so that we don't operate from our blind spots, which are very human. And it doesn't make you a bad coach to ask questions and question some of your habitual practices, investigate certain things, and just make sense of things. Maybe sometimes you don't have a problem with a particular client or with a particular session, but there is something that's been on your mind, and you just want to make sense of things. And bringing this to supervision will help you just to breathe some air into it, lessen the emotional charge, and extract the valuable lesson, and even sometimes uncover the blind spot. Then again, is such a human thing to have. All right, I've been talking a lot here. Here's the question for you. I want to hear from you. What's one skill you'd like to improve or deepen in your coaching? And that might be contracting, which is the answer to if you ever had a question, I'm in the middle of the session with my client and I'm not entirely sure what we're working on. So sessional contracting solves that problem really well. Maybe it's solution-focused approach. Solution-focused approach is the answer to the problem of my sessions feel like they're a little bit too problem-oriented. Like we're focusing on the problem, and there is less time focusing on the solution, and that doesn't feel right to me as a coach. Again, the way you feel about the session matters, and the way the client feels about the session matters. That's why we need to invite the feedback. What other skills come to mind? Let's have a look. Not getting distracted by my tendency to analyze. It's the brain chatter, to refine my process questions and stop losing my presence in the content questions. Very important, absolutely, because the clients very often they've been telling the story So the important question to ask, is the client telling the story or are they thinking? Because the client is very familiar with their story. And so the thing is, it's not about the story at all, but it's probably, in some cases, about how you receive that story. So here, what's happened to relational coaching? Or perhaps even if you are someone your style is very solution-focused, laser-focused, and you've contracted around useful interruptions in the conversations, you can ask for permission. Can I please interrupt you here for a moment? I just need to clarify something. Are you telling the story or are you thinking right now? And what are the parts of the story that are absolutely necessary for us to acknowledge in this space? You can do that. You are just clarifying what's important. Finding the balance between support and celebrating clients, but not stepping into them seeking approval, permission to feel a certain way. Yes, Maddie, that is really important. So here's the interesting part. Here's where we don't want to be robotic in how we show up with our clients, because we don't want our clients to show up in a robotic way, because then we just go to a part of them rather than the whole of them. So we want to notice the very genuine reaction that we have, the exact words that we want to say, and then choose what to say. It's absolutely fine to say, look, this sounds admirable. This sounds amazing. Are you proud of what you have achieved? And just always check in with the client, offer it to them. Express how you feel, and then check with the client. Listen to the unspoken, coach out of being. Like this ethereal kind of inner theme. And this is where self-mastery, the third element of coaching mastery, is paramount in exploring. Not get lost in the client's detail. Very important, yeah. And sometimes we're so eager, especially at the very beginning. I noticed it with the beginner coaches. That certainly was the case for me. I didn't want to miss anything in the conversation. And I think this is the stage that as coaches, we need to go through. Not wanting to miss anything, taking notes. But with time, with reflection, with supervision, you discover your style, you notice what works for you. Understanding the different models that I can structure different coaching sessions. Yes, very important to notice like what the client needs from me right now. Do they need relational coaching so that they can make sense of their own experiences? Do they need to come up with action plan and solutions so that, okay, laser focused, solution focused approach? Do they need to be provoked? And then can I step into more of a Gestaltian role here? Using time effectively. Yeah. Timing is actually still the thing that I work on. I still go over time sometimes, and I'm not ashamed to admit it because, we're always growing and learning. To refine my, so I've done that. Then you would say, going deeper into the presenting issue. Yeah. And how do we go deeper in something? We tap into values and why something is important to them and how this will impact other areas of their lives. And what is beneath the goal? Not getting distracted by my tendencies. Yeah, I've done that. Marketing. Yeah. Okay. There's a few more answers and I'll carry on. To really understand what's not being said. And you know what helps? To say very little as a coach here. To sit in this silence. And I think this is one of the most important skills that we can master as coaches, is to feel really comfortable with the silence and not feel like we have to fill the gaps. Always notice if you operate from the urge, like that urge, bring that urge to supervision, explore it and unpack it. Yeah. Are these things a coaching training can help develop with frameworks, or is it something we develop ourselves through experience only? So this is in relation to question of listening to the unspoken and not getting lost in detail. Training will help massively. Because if we talk about animus, there will be like a separate module, which is about the quality of your presence. It's you're not even asking questions there. It's about your way of being with clients. And this is where you listen to the unspoken. And you're not getting lost in the detail because client is doing their own thinking. You're not really doing thinking for them. I hope it makes sense. I know it sounds a little bit like, what? But, it's in training. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. This is so beautiful. You're such an engaging audience. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. And this is something for you to kind of ask yourself. How often are you currently seeking feedback or mentorship on your skills? How often are you asking for feedback from your clients? And that's not something that you do at the end of the coaching program. It's important to do it also in between the coaching program. So is there anything, here's my feeling of how our coaching journey has been so far. What's your feeling? Is there anything missing? Are there any expectations that you had from our journey together that, haven't materialized yet? How can we pivot? How can we tweak how we work together so that we meet you where you're at and we make sure that this is as valuable for you as possible? Because again, you know the coaching, you know how to make the most of the conversation. The client doesn't. And this invites the opportunity to them say, I feel like I would benefit from this. Is this something that you as a coach can do? And then you provide your answer, what's within your scope of practice. Because maybe you have a really cool modality in your professional toolkit, like EFT, for example, or meditation. And you can incorporate that. But you have to have that conversation first and invite the feedback. And how often you seek supervision and mentorship on your skills? The thing about the coaching role and the coaching career is that once you leave the comfort of the training environment, coaching can feel quite lonely because for such a long time you're surrounded by passionate, aspiring coaches and trainers, and you are in this safe cocoon, and that is a beautiful stage to be in. And once you leave it, it can feel quite lonely because we don't have a team. We don't work in the offices. We usually work and operate from the comfort of our own homes. Well, that's certainly a reality for me and the coaches that I have been supporting. And having someone on your team, like a supervisor, a mentor, a business coach, perhaps, in some seasons of your life, that's something that you will require, can be such a game changer. And as coaches, we are so we feel like we're there to support others and be of service to others. But please don't forget that you need to support yourself to be able to support others well. And we need people on our team so that we don't feel alone with our problems and our questions. I think that's like, if there's one thing you can take from this bit, let it be this one. The second element of coaching mastery is the business mastery. And I'm starting it with a bit of a chuckle because when I was in my supervision training, I had a very naive line of thinking that all you need to do is just to be an excellent coach, and the clients will come flooding through the door and they will just throw their money at you and they will want to work with you. And I believed that that's all you need to do. You just need to nail your professional mastery and that's it. And the business success will be the natural outcome of that. That was a very naive line of thinking because I then met so many coaches who were so gifted and brilliant at what they do, but no one knew about them. And they became their own best kept secrets. And the thing is, for so many of you, I can venture this assumption. So many of you, coaching feels like not just a job that you do, feels like a calling, like a soul purpose, something that you've meant to be doing. That certainly was the case for me. That's certainly the case for the type of coaches that I tend to work with. You chose to become a coach because you just want to coach. Some of you didn't sign up for the idea of becoming a business owner as well. You just want to coach, and if someone would just send you clients, you'd be happy. That was certainly me at the beginning of the journey. But the reality is, if, for example, internal coaching path is not an option for you at the moment, or the associate coaching path is not your cup of tea, or takes time to materialize, maybe you're still looking for certain options, then you can't do the thing that you love most. You can't do coaching if you don't master the business element. So we need to learn how to invite people to work with us. And that is just the reality of it. So some of you will be starting their coaching businesses, independent coaching practices, quite some time, or you've already started. Congratulations. And it's all about how you communicate your services in a powerful yet authentic way. In a way, having completed the coaching training, now is the time for you to begin the new training and embrace the new learning curve of becoming a business owner. I'm just going to quickly check my time to make sure I'm on time. I'll have to rush through a few things now. There will be lots of business coaches and business mentors who will tell you how to do things. Play and experiment. That's my invitation for you, because you need to test things out to figure out what's your unique way of talking about your coaching services and what coaching is and how you help your people. I think one of the problems here sometimes is that because we leave the coaching training, we're so excited about the whole process of coaching. We keep talking about coaching, how it's amazing, how it's great. And sometimes those messages are important and they have to be part of our marketing strategy. The reality is, normal people who are not fellow coaches don't care about coaching. That's like a harsh reality. They're like, coaching, yeah, good for you, great, happy to hear this. Because normal people, I say normal people, like non-coaches, they care about the problem they have. They don't care about the solution. In our marketing sometimes, because we are convinced that coaching is great and we absolutely have to have that conviction, we can unintentionally over-focus on the solution that our clients, potential clients, are not ready to hear just yet because they feel unheard and unseen in their problem. What is the problem that you solve? Here is, when it comes to business mastery, we do things a little bit backwards to what we learned in our coaching training. It has to be a little bit more about us, whereas in coaching we learn that it's not about you, it's about the client. Make sure that your questions are very open, that they're not coach-led or directive. But here you have to understand, like, what is the problem that I feel passionate about solving? And that might be part of your story. That is very often part of your story. That is very often something that you care about. And interestingly, when I finished my coaching training, something that I personally really cared about is helping women, adult women, to overcome the aftermath of challenging relationship with their mother. Adult women who would then start corporate careers, who would succeed, high achievers, beautiful, successful women that I was completely in awe of. But they would inside feel inadequate and really insecure, and they would have their mother's voice in their head saying things to them, judging them or criticizing them because that was part of their childhood. They could move across the continent away from their mother, but they would still carry her voice within them. And that was part of my story. And I never started, I didn't start coaching training because I thought I will be helping those women. But when I finished coaching training and I started experimenting with different messaging and the problems that coaching can help with, I started talking about this because that was so close to my heart. And people started to listen because they felt seen and heard in their problem. And in September 2019, I believe that was a pivotal moment in my practice where I signed up my very first high-ticket client, which is the jargon of business when it comes to coaching practice. High ticket clients is anything beyond like 1K packages. And that was a huge amount of money for me for I never charged that much. I had my own money mindset issues, and I believe we have a speaker on money mindset issues today. So I highly recommend to attend that session if this is something that's resonating with you. How can I take this amount of money? Will I be able to deliver? That was the thing. But here is the lesson here that keep it focused. What is the problem that you solve? How can you talk to this problem in a way that makes people feel seen, heard, and understood, perhaps validated that it's okay for them to have this problem, but it's not okay for them to not do anything about it, and that there is a solution that they might just not be aware of, and there is another way. And then how coaching can help with their problem. And that is the beautiful start of this messaging. So that's one thing that I wanted to add here. This was completely unscripted. Overcoming the mindset hurdles that are inevitable part of business expansion, like raising your prices. Very often coaches come to supervision and they say, and by the way, not all supervisors support other coaches with business development challenges, but just because they choose to, that's absolutely fine. Because I run my business online, I feel like I have the right experience and the questions that I can ask and support fellow coaches with. But raising prices is such a good example because it's really hard for some coaches. There are so many fears that can get entangled there. What if I alienate some people that I really want to work with? What if I become inaccessible? Who am I to charge that much? Is it even normal? So that's like just the example that kind of brings it really to life. And there is one thing that I want you to really try and do, even if you resist or like kind of feel like you hate the business side of things to begin with, because you just want to coach, you don't want to do the business thing, you don't want to go on camera, you don't want to reach out to people, it all feels clunky and weird. It takes time and patience. You will learn it. If you're a coach, you have the open-mindedness, the passion, and the patience that you need to learn that. You have all you need to learn the business mastery element. But it takes falling in love with the business side of things to bring your gifts into this world. This is why you do it. You do business not to make the money. This is the natural outcome of you doing it. You do the business thing to bring your gifts into the world because this is your responsibility to yourself and to people whose lives you will touch for coaching. So here's the prompt for you. What's one way you're currently connecting with potential clients and how could you amplify that? I'm going to leave this prompt with you for now, just for the sake of time, because I want to make sure that we have enough time for Q&A. Just going to quickly check the chat box. It's an effective script to approach your LinkedIn connections in relation to coaching. Script. I'm not sure about this word. Let's park this for the Q&A. Taking this phrase away today, fall in love with the business side to bring my gifts to the world. Absolutely. There is a quote that I'm not quite sure is on a slide. I'll check in a second, because this was prepared by my VA yesterday. I heard an excellent advice a couple of times from different people. Do what you're good at, and for the rest, hire someone who can help you with it. Absolutely. The problem why coaches get stuck at the beginning of their coaching business journeys because they want to build the website. Yeah, by themselves. Absolutely. Learn all possible marketing strategies, test and try and waste precious time. Yeah. Instead of hiring a person who can guide them through that or do things for them while they do just what they love to do, coach others. If money is an issue, trade others. Yeah, absolutely. So it reminds me of the concept of deciding whether you are money poor or time poor. If you're time poor, definitely outsource and hire someone out. And one mistake that I made in my coaching journey, please learn from that mistake, is that I'm not a techie person. I'm not an admin person at all. Like I can do things like scheduler, like contracts, etc. But like linking calendars, designing a sales page so that people can go to a separate kind of sales page, read the information, sign up for my program. I can't do that. And I have zero interest in learning that. Like, this is just my honest truth. And I wish I had hired a VA so much sooner in my coaching journey. I do have a VA now since the beginning of this year. She's been absolutely brilliant. Sometimes I spend like, I don't know, £50 a month, which is like completely nothing, like to me at the moment. So that she does Instagram graphics for me, because I have the creative idea of the content, but I'm terrible at Canva in terms of like I tweak things for 2 hours, and that is the precious time that I could be spent in doing something else, something that actually enriches the way I support my clients. I could be doing supervision, CPD. I could be listening to that lecture. I could be delivering a session to a client. I could be actually having a bit of a self-care moment, because we need to take care of ourselves, because you are your main coach and tool. That is another thing we'll talk in the next element. And if you're money poor, but you have the time, play with those things. But set a deadline so that you do more on actual coaching and reaching out to people and talking about starting the conversations perhaps, or sharing what's on your heart about coaching versus the other admin part. Just ask yourself, is that a distraction? If I didn't have to do this, what would I be doing instead? If that was done for me, what would I be doing instead? Sometimes we can tell ourselves those sneaky stories like, no one will buy from me because I don't have a website. That means that I don't look legit. I am excited that I still don't have a website, and I've had really good sales months. I have a really great referral rate. I'm not out of business, even though I had maternity leaves. I had multiple breaks. I moved house. I had things going on. I have a very full life. And please take me as evidence that maybe I'm just distracting myself. If the website is not to blame, then what? If something that comes up for you is an excuse, ask yourself, if that's not to blame, then what? Who's a virtual assistant? Yes, thank you. They're wonderful people. They can do multiple things in terms of content, messaging, any kind of admin side, digital side of things. Thank you so much, Aaron, for sharing the resource for outsourcing the things. Very useful. With my VA yesterday, because I was ill for so long, I had no time to prepare for this talk and to refine my thoughts. But I had a couple of spare hours yesterday, and I sat down with her and I said, I want you to be my sounding board. I want you to tell me what's on your mind if something doesn't make sense, and I want you to give me the suggestions. She was brilliant. She helped me with this. On this topic of business mastery, I'm aware that there are many coaches out there. Is it a flooded market? I'm just curious what you think, Kristina, in this think about this call. Think about this. This is important for me because it's a big financial investment for me to get training. Absolutely. And I'm wondering how realistic it is to have an income from coaching also. Yeah, let's talk about this during the Q&A. Thank you so much for sharing, guys. Okay. Have a think about this as well. When you think about becoming the business person, when you think about becoming a businesswoman, a businessman, running your own coaching practice, meeting people on the street, and if they say, like, what do you do? I'm a coach. I run my business online. What comes up for you? Is there an ick? What gives you the ick? Who are the business people that come to mind that might tarnish the whole idea of becoming a business owner? Start with addressing that. Because the thing about business master is that who you are as a coach is very different from who you are as a business owner. That's the one thing we need to acknowledge for sure. And this can be and should be and will be such a very exciting journey to go on, to discover who you are as an entrepreneur. What decisions do you make? How do you treat your clients? How do you reinvest your revenue? And it's also empowering for me personally as a woman who wears multiple hats, and it might resonate with some of you, that as people, we're not just one thing. You can be a mother and an ambitious business owner, and that's a dilemma that I've been exploring for years now. How can I combine the both and be the both? Because to me, they felt so different. You can be a coach and you can be a gifted business person, an amazing visionary business person. So what kind of business person do you want to be? Perhaps courageous, open, honest, unapologetic, confident, proud, the first business person in your family, perhaps, feeling at ease, relieved, and just happy. Okay, here's one thing I want you to know. As coaches, we work with people. We work with people's stories, memories, sometimes painful memories, challenges, and emotions. There is a lot for us to contain. That is just the reality of it, and we should not expect to just leave the session and not think about it at all. And at times, our clients' stories and sessions will trigger something within us that we need to notice, address, and bring it to a safe space again. Some of the examples that I can think of right now is that sometimes a client can remind you of your ex. Sometimes your client can remind you of your mother that you have a challenging relationship with. And that can impact the way you show up as a coach. It doesn't make you wrong. You are not a moist robot. It's absolutely fine for you to have reactions to what you hear in client sessions. Please don't shove it under the rug, because repressing it will impact your coaching for sure. That's like a guarantee. Like Freud said that if you repress something, it will come out later, but in much uglier ways. So please bring it to supervision or to a safe space where you can unpack these things. And that sometimes can be therapy. When it comes to self-mastery, our job is to be able to show up as a calm and present coach for our clients. Embrace the idea that even though you have this beautiful professional toolkit that you worked really hard on gaining and refining, at the end of the day, you are your main coach and instrument. Your bodily sensations, your intuition, how you relate on a human level to what you just heard from your client is important. Being to yourself what you are to your client. That is really important. If you encourage your clients to seek support and say that it's okay, you gotta be in integrity and in congruence with what you're saying. Love and detachment. This is like, I care about you, but I'm not gonna rescue you, because the ICF mantra, you're already whole, resourceful, and creative enough. You don't need my rescuing. But I'm here to hold space for your thinking and for your empowerment. And obviously seeking support. You can't lead anyone else further than you have gone yourself. I think the most important here is that to embrace the idea that your journey of becoming a masterful coach means that you need to be on your own healing journey, because you're not just a role, a professional role. You're a human being. You will be reacting to certain things that you hear from your clients. And that is absolutely normal. And it is expected. So who or what helps you stay grounded and clear for your clients? What are your practices? Do you have a supervisor on your team? Do you have any grounding practices that you do before your sessions? What helps you to show up as a calm and present coach for your clients? Last but not least, if you wish to connect after that or at some point, I'm Kristina Sheppard on LinkedIn. If you want to just get in touch directly because you're not on socials, here's my email address. And thank you so much for listening and being here. And let's start the Q&A. Thank you. I'm grateful. Thank you so much Lovely, lovely coaches. The supervision space is a great space to explore. Do we have, I see Rick raised his hand. Yeah, thank you for this question. So in terms of supervision, it's just a space where you can bring your client cases. And it's not just about solving the problem, like something feels off in my, client sessions or with this client in particular, but it's about here's what's happening in my sessions. You internalize your strengths. Your supervisor helps you to reflect back. Here's what I'm noticing you doing good as a coach. Are you noticing that as well? And it's something about internalizing those strengths and then owning them that is really important for our confidence, because you can then go out there in the world and you can say, I'm really good at this. And again, this can be a little bit controversial for us coaches who haven't quite stepped into the business mastery element, because who we are as coaches is very different to who we are as business people. We have to be showing up as expert of the coaching process. There are always two experts in the room and say, I'm really good at this. You're going to be in good hands. And this is sometimes the vote of confidence that our potential clients need to hear, because it will then allow them to feel confident about the decision to invest in us. Imposter syndrome is definitely the supervision request. This is where you say you bring this and you say, this is how I feel, and we work it in self-mastery. So that you are that, even emotional well-being, you feel okay. It's not a choppy up and down feeling like elated or down. It's you're feeling okay. That's how we want to approach coaching sessions. And thirdly is business development challenges. Anything to do with messaging, marketing, how to position your programs, how to price them, how to structure them. Is it number of sessions or is it number of months? What feels right to you? What feels right for your clients? That can be explored in supervision with some supervisors. Not all, because some supervisors choose not to do business development challenges. I do because I run my business. Let me know, does this answer your question, or at least begin to answer your question? Yeah. There might be things that there is like a knowledge gap. The beauty of supervision is that as a coach, I can't quite share knowledge with you. As a supervisor, shackles are down. I have the right to teach, mentor, and say, here's what I'm noticing. Are you noticing this? That there is a problem that you have the skills to solve. Are you passionate about this problem? Is this something you want to do? And then how can we start talking about this? So idea generation and inspiration can be part of it as well. Thank you.